everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. In tonight's video, I am giving you a rest from my face, and I figured it was time for us to do another faceless history video, and I wanted to continue the kind of theme we've been doing of sports, and I decided to go for a sport of which I know honestly very little about, having not really ever watched it nor currently watching it. It is of course basketball, as you can tell by the title. I've really tried to get into basketball a few years ago. I just randomly decided that the Indiana Pacers would be my team, but that interest was very short-lived as the games were on really late here in the UK and I gave up very quickly. But anyway, tonight we're going to be looking at the history of basketball, its formation and how it developed, and then we're going to end the video with some facts about the NBA, some NBA trivia facts. So hopefully you enjoy this video, hopefully you find it relaxing and maybe even learn something new. Or maybe for you basketball superfans, you can just hear about the sport that you love. So without further ado, let's get started. Basketball began with its invention in 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts by Canadian physical education instructor James Naismith, as a less injury-prone sport than football. Naismith was a 31-year-old graduate student when he created the indoor sport to keep athletes indoors during the winters. The game became established fairly quickly and grew very popular as the 20th century progressed, first in America and then in other parts of the world. After basketball became established in American colleges, the professional game followed. The National Basketball Association, or NBA, established in 1946, grew to a multi-billion-dollar enterprise by the end of the century, and basketball became an integral part of American culture. So, early history, invention of the game. A game similar to basketball is mentioned in a 1591 book, published in Frankfurt am Main, that reports on the lifestyles and customs of coastal North American residents. War auf die Abkonterfeitung der Wilden. Among other things, a game of skill is described in which balls must be thrown against a target woven from twigs, mounted high on a pole in the middle of a large playing field. There's a small reward for the player if the target is being hit. The game of basketball as it is known today was created by Dr. James Naismith in December 1891 to condition young athletes during cold months. Naismith was a physical education instructor at YMCA International Training School, now known as Springfield College, in Springfield, Massachusetts. Upon the request of his boss, Naismith was tasked to create an indoor sports game to help athletes keep in shape in cold weather. It consisted of beach baskets and a soccer-style ball. He published 13 rules for the new game. He divided his class of 18 into 2 teams of 9 players each and set about to teach them the basics of his new game. The objective of the game was to throw the basketball into the fruit baskets, nailed to the lower railing of the gym balcony. Every time a point was scored, the game was halted so the janitor could bring out a ladder and retrieve the ball. After a while, the bottoms of the fruit baskets were removed. The first public basketball game was played in Springfield, Massachusetts on March 11, 1892. So there were only 13 rules of basketball. 1. The ball may be thrown in any direction with one or both hands. 2. The ball may be batted in any direction with person of an opponent shall be allowed. The first infringement of this rule by any person shall count as a foul. The second shall disqualify him until the next goal is made, or if there was evident intent to injure the person, for the whole of the game, no substitute. 6. A foul is striking the ball with the fist. Violation of rules 3 and 4 and such as described in rule 5. If either side makes 3 consecutive fouls, it shall count a goal for opponents. 8. A goal shall be made when the ball is thrown or batted from ground into the basket and stays there. If the ball rests on the edge and the opponent moves the basket, it shall count as a goal. 9. When the ball goes out of bounds, it shall be thrown into the field and played by the person first touching it. In case of a dispute, the umpire shall throw it straight into the field. The thrower in is allowed 5 seconds. If he holds it longer, it shall go to the opponent. If any side persists in delaying the game, the umpire shall call a foul on them. 10. The umpire shall be the judge of the men and shall note the fouls, and notify the referee when 3 consecutive fouls have been made. 11. The referee shall be the judge of the ball and shall decide when the ball is in play, in bounds, and to which side it belongs, and shall keep the time. He shall decide when a goal has been made and keep account of the goals with any other duties that are usually performed by a referee. The time shall be 15-minute halves, with 5-minute rests in between. And finally, the side making the most goals in that time shall be declared the winner. So, the first basketball game. On December 21st, 1891, Naismith published rules for a new game using 5 basic ideas and 13 rules. That day, he asked his class to play a match in the Armory Street Court, 9 versus 9, using a soccer ball and 2 beach baskets. Frank Marn, one of his students, was not so happy. He just said, "Harumph, another new game." Someone proposed to call it the Naismith game, but he suggested, "We have a ball and a basket. Why don't we call it basketball?" The 18 players were John Thompson, Eugene Libby, Edwin Ruggles, William Chase, Duncan Patton, Frank Marn, Finley MacDonald, William Davis, and Lyman Archibald, who defeated George Weller, Wilbert Carey, Ernest Hildner, Raymond Kane, Kenzabaru Ishikawa, Benjamin French, Franklin Barnes, George Day and Henry Gellen, 1-0. Well, that is very low scoring for basketball, even I know that. The goal was scored by Chase. There were other differences between Naismith's first idea and the game played today. The beach baskets were closed and balls had to be retrieved manually until a small hole was put in the bottom of the beach basket to poke the ball out using a stick. Only in 1906 were metal hoops, nets and backboards introduced. In 1894 the soccer ball was replaced by a ball Naismith contacted Spalding to make. Women in basketball. Shortly after, Senda Berenson, instructor of physical culture at the nearby Smith College, went to Naismith to learn more about the game. Fascinated by the new sport and the values it could teach, she started to organise games with her pupils, following adjusted rules. The first official women's inter-institutional game was played just 11 months later, between the University of Carolina and Miss Head's school. In 1899, a committee was established at the Conference of Physical Training in Springfield to draw up generational rules for women's basketball. Thus, the sport quickly spread throughout America's schools, colleges and universities, with uniform rules for both sexes. Next, section is YMCA, US Army Spread Development. YMCA had a major role in spreading basketball throughout the US, Canada, and the world. In 1893, Mel Rideout arranged the first European match in Paris, in Montmartre. At the same time, Bob Gailey went to Tianjin, China, Duncan Patton to India, Genzaburo Ishikawa to Japan, and C. Harik to Persia. The First World War broke out in 1914, and the US Army started fighting in Europe in 1917. During World War I, the American Expeditionary Force took basketball wherever it went. Together with the troops, there were hundreds of physical education teachers who knew basketball. Naismith also spent 2 years with YMCA in France in that period. Early professional leagues, teams, and organisations. The first professional league was founded in 1898. 6 teams took part in the National Basketball League, and the first champions were the Trenton Nationals, followed by the New York Wanderers, the Bristol Pile Drivers, and the Camden Electrics. The league was abandoned in 1904. Then, many small championships were organised, but most of them were not as important, as some teams who played for money against challengers. The original Celtics, for instance, are considered the fathers of basketball, and were presented as world's basketball champions. The players had to sign a contract to play with them, and Jim Fury organised matches as a circus, moving daily from town to town. The Celtics became the strongest team, and their successes lasted from 1922 until 1928, when the team disbanded due to ownership problems. The original Celtics are sometimes incorrectly thought of as forebears of the current Boston Celtics of the NBA. In reality, they only share a name, as today's Celtics were not founded until 1946, nearly 2 decades after the demise of the original Celtics. In 1922, the first All-African-American professional team was founded, the Wrens, also known as New York Renaissance or Harlem Renaissance. The Wrens were the original Celtics' usual opponent, and for their matches a ticket cost $1. They took part in some official championships, and won the first World Professional Basketball Tournament in 1939. The team disbanded in 1949. So basketball in American colleges. The greatest level of early basketball activity outside of YMCA's was seen in American colleges. The first known US college to field a basketball team against an outside opponent was Vanderbilt University, which played against the local YMCA in Nashville, Tennessee, in February 1893. The second recorded instance of an organised college basketball game was Geneva College's game against the New Brighton YMCA on April 8, 1893, in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, which Geneva won 3-0. The first recorded game between 2 college teams occurred on February 9, 1895, when Hamline University faced Minnesota A&M, who won the game, which was played under rules allowing 9 players per side, 9-3. The first intercollegiate match using the modern rule of 5 players per side is often credited as a game between the Uni of Chicago and the Uni of Iowa on January 18, 1896. The Chicago team, which was organised by Amos Alonzo Stagg, who had learned the game from James Naismith, won the game 15-12. By 1900, the game of basketball had spread to colleges across the country. By 1897, the US Amateur Athletic Union had taken over oversight of basketball activity from the YMCA. In April 1905, representatives of 15 colleges separately took over control of the college game, creating the Collegiate Basketball Rules Committee. The committee was in turn absorbed into the predecessor of the National Collegiate Athletic Association in 1909, and the extremely popular NCAA men's basketball tournament was started in 1939. So next we have the formation of FIBA. World basketball was growing, but it was on June 18th, 1932, that a real international organisation was formed to coordinate tournaments and teams. That day, the following representatives of the 8 national federations: Attilio Benicio of Argentina, Simeon Mavroskoufis of Greece, Count Giorgio Aznazzari di San Marzano of Italy, Joseph Shadeko of Latvia, Henry Brandt of Portugal, Didi Dacre of Romania, Leon Buffard of Switzerland, and Ladislav Kapuchian of Czechoslovakia. They founded the International Basketball Federation, or FIBA, in Geneva. Its work was fundamental for the first inclusion of basketball in the Berlin Olympic Games in 1936. The first Olympic title was won by the US national team. Sam Balter, Ralph Bishop, Joe Fortenberry, Tex Gibbons, Francis Johnson, Carl Knowles, Frank Lubin, Art Molnar, Donald Piper, Jack Ragland, Willard Schmidt, Carl Schei, Dwan Swanson, Bill Wheatley, and the trainer James Needles. Canada was runner-up. The first World Championship was held in Argentina in 1950. So that brings us on to the NBA. The BAA, the Basketball Association of America, was founded in June 1946 in New York City. The league adopted the name NBA, National Basket Association, in 1949, after merging with the rival National Basketball League, or NBL. As of the early 21st century, the NBA is the most significant professional basketball league in the world, in terms of popularity, salaries, talent, and level of competition. The commissioner of the NBA is Adam Silver, and his job is to oversee the tasks in the organisation. Many rule changes have occurred since the inception of professional basketball that has altered the game to what we now recognise today. Those rule changes did not occur all at once, but instead evolved to suit the changing style of play, starting with the widening of the three-throw lane in 1951 and a further extension in 1964. This change was made to reduce the dominant impact of centres who played with their back facing the basket, otherwise known as post position. Then in 1954, the 24-second shot clock was introduced. This was done to increase the speed of the game by forcing the team with the basketball to shoot the ball before the 24-second timer is up. Finally, the NBA introduced the three-point line in the 1979-80 season. This was done to spread out the players, which were predominantly playing underneath the basket at this time, as well as add a further degree of difficulty to the game. In the late 50s and early 60s, the influx of black athletes increased excitement and revitalised the NBA. By this time, the league was mainly composed of African American players, and most of the top stars were black. However, in the late 1970s, the popularity of the NBA was once again threatened by the decline in attendance and television ratings. In 1979, the NBA's TV audience declined by 18%. In the 1980s, former Magic Johnson of Los Angeles and Larry Bird of Boston once changed the way the game was played. Despite both being 6'9", Johnson and Bird could play many roles previously reserved for shorter players. They have been described as two of the 50 best players in NBA history. Just when the NBA needed a new force, Johnson and Bird gave the NBA a new big game to restore its low popularity. During and after that, some superstars entered the league, including Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Michael Jordan. Now looking at modern day NBA before we will then finish with some facts and trivia about it. The NBA has helped popularise basketball in other parts of the world. A large part of this is due to the transcendent stars that have played the game throughout the years. It was because of the play of Michael Jordan that basketball started to reach international audiences, especially on the 1992 United States men's Olympic basketball team, known as the Dream Team. After his final championship and second retirement in 1998, there was a void as in who would be the face of basketball. Soon after, with the help of Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant would go on to win 3 straight championships from 2000 to 2002 with the LA Lakers, helping make basketball more popular in many places around the world, most noticeably China. Further championships in 2009 and 2010 helped raise his popularity. In 2015 he announced the following season would be his last. He would have played in 20 seasons by then. Another player who revolutionised the game of basketball was LeBron James. He was taken as the first overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and has worked his way to become the face of the NBA and basketball around the world. He left the Cavs in 2010 to join the Miami Heat, along with fellow stars Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, in what became known as The Decision, winning back-to-back championships in 2012 and 2013, before returning to the Cavaliers in 2014, where he won a third championship in 2016. He joined the LA Lakers on July 1st, 2018. There have been many international players who helped globalise the game. The most noticeable would be Yao Ming. He was the first ever Chinese player to be selected with the number 1 overall pick in 2002 by the Houston Rockets. His play and presence in the NBA brought attention to basketball in Asian countries. The style of basketball has evolved over time as well. Basketball, especially in the 1990s and 2000s, used to give importance to big men. Now, because of teams like the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors, ball movement and team play is more common. The pace of play has also increased. In recent years, players such as Steph Curry have increased the prevalence of the three-point shot in the professional game. And that feels like a good moment to now move on to 30 mind-blowing NBA trivia facts that even superfans might not know. These aren't going to be super up to date, but it was written on August 2024, so just won't have stuff about the most recent season probably. So, the youngest player to score 30,000 points. LeBron James became the youngest player in NBA history to score 30,000 points on January 23rd, 2018, at the age of 33 years and 24 days. The shortest player to win an NBA slam dunk contest was Spud Webb, standing at 5'7". He won the contest in 1986. Olajuwon is the only player to record a quadruple-double twice. He did this during the 1990 season. The most points scored in a single game was Wilt Chamberlain, who scored 100 points in a game against the Knicks on March 2nd, 1962. The player with the most championships is Bill Russell, who won 11 NBA championships with the Boston Celtics from 1957 to 1969. The most technical fouls in a single season is Rasheed Wallace, who received 41 technical fouls during the 2000-2001 season. Nat Hickey played at the age of 45 years and 363 days for the Providence Steamrollers in 1948, making him the oldest player to play in an NBA game. Clifton McNeely was the first player ever drafted in the NBA, selected by the Pittsburgh Ironmen in 1947. James Harden is the only player to score 60-plus points in a game for 3 different teams: the Rockets, the Nets, and the 76ers. The most 3-pointers made in a single game is Klay Thompson, who made 14 3-pointers in a game against the Chicago Bulls in October 2018. Steph Curry was the first unanimous MVP, was unanimously voted MVP during the 2015-16 season. Scott Skiles recorded 30 assists in a game in December 1990 for Orlando Magic, making him the player with the most assists in a single game. Nikola Jokic recorded a triple-double with a perfect shooting night, 11-11 from the field, in February 2018, becoming the first player to record a triple-double without missing a shot. The only team to go 16-0 in the playoffs was the Golden State Warriors in the 16-17 season. The first player to record a quintuple-double, it says brackets unofficial, Wilt Chamberlain reportedly recorded a quintuple-double, though it is not officially documented. The tallest and shortest players in the NBA on the same team, the Washington Bullets in the 87-88 season, had 7'7" Manute Bol and 5'3" Muggsy Bogues on the same team. The only player to score 50 points in a game in 4 different decades is Vince Carter. He scored 50 points in a game in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s and 2020s. The most consecutive free throws made is Michael Williams, who made 97 consecutive free throws during the 1993 season. The most teams played for by a single player is Ish Smith, who has played for 13 different NBA teams as of 2023. Rick and Brent Barry were the first father-son duo to both play in the NBA. Most points scored in a game by a rookie was Wilt Chamberlain again, who scored 58 points in a game twice during his rookie season in 1960. The first player to score 70 points in a game since Wilt Chamberlain was Devin Booker, who scored 70 points for the Phoenix Suns against the Celtics in March 2017. The longest winning streak in NBA history is the LA Lakers, who won 33 consecutive games during the 71-72 season. The first player to record a triple-double in an All-Star game was Michael Jordan, seen in a game in 1973. The player with the most steals in a single game, Kendall Gill and Larry Kennan, each recorded 11 steals in a game. Most points scored in a quarter. This record is held by Klay Thompson, who scored 37 points in the third quarter of a game on January 23rd, 2015. The only player to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP in the same season is Hakeem Olajuwon. This was during the 1993-94 season. The first player to record a triple-double in his NBA debut was Oscar Robertson in 1960. 21 points, 12 rebounds and 10 assists. And the only NBA team to never have the first overall draft pick is the Miami Heat. And that, my friends, is gonna do it for tonight's video. I really hope you learned something new, or at the very minimum felt more relaxed, or even better, got some sleep. So if you did enjoy this video and you are able to, then please give it a like and subscribe if you're new.